Don't ignore this psalm, not because it is beautiful, not because it is comforting at first, but because it speaks to a kind of pain most people never say out loud. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this. There are wounds that don't bleed. There are aches that don't show on the body. And there are nights when the weight inside your chest feels heavier than anything you could explain. You smile during the day. You answer messages. You do what is expected of you. But inside, something hurts quietly, constantly. Psalm 38 was written for that place, not for public grief, not for dramatic loss, but for the slow, internal suffering that builds when no one knows how much you're holding in. This psalm does not rush to comfort you. It does not pretend everything is fine. It does not offer shallow reassurance. It sits with the pain. It acknowledges exhaustion. It names the heaviness. It allows the silence to speak. Many people read Psalms looking for strength, but Psalm 38 begins with honesty, the kind of honesty that only appears when someone has reached their limit. There are moments in life when the pain is not loud, it's constant, a dull pressure that never leaves, a burden you carry alone. You don't talk about it because you don't want to worry others. You don't talk about it because you're not sure how to explain it. You don't talk about it because you've learned to endure. But silence does not make pain disappear. It only teaches it to live inside you. Psalm 38 is the voice of someone who has been strong for too long. Someone who feels physically drained by an emotional weight. Someone whose inner suffering has begun to affect the body, the mind, the breath. If you're listening to this right now, there's a reason. If this psalm found you, it is not by accident. Because if you're carrying pain in silence, read this slowly. Let the words breathe. Let them meet you exactly where you are. This psalm understands what it feels like when your strength is gone, when your joy feels distant, when even prayer feels heavy. It speaks to the kind of suffering that isolates you, the kind that makes you feel alone even when others are near. And before we read a single verse, there is something important to understand. God is not offended by your pain. God is not surprised by your weakness. God is not distant because you feel broken. Psalm 38 proves that you are allowed to come exactly as you are, tired, worn down, quietly hurting. This is not a psalm of victory. It is a psalm of endurance, a psalm for those who are still standing, but barely. So if your heart feels heavy right now, if your body feels tired in a way sleep doesn't fix, if your pain has no clear name, stay here, breathe, and listen, because Psalm 38 is not here to judge you. It is here to speak for you. Take a slow breath. There is no rush here, no pressure to understand everything at once. Let the words arrive gently. Psalm 38 begins not with strength, but with surrender. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, nor discipline me in your wrath. This is not fear speaking. It is vulnerability. It is the voice of someone who knows they are fragile, someone who feels exposed, someone who cannot handle more weight. When pain lasts too long, even correction feels unbearable. Even silence feels loud. This opening line is a plea, not a demand. For your arrows have pierced me, and your hand has come down on me. Pain is described as something that enters, something that stays. Not a moment, not a passing feeling, but a presence. Sometimes suffering feels exactly like this, as if something invisible has struck you from the inside. You don't know when it started. You don't know how to remove it. You only know it hurts. Because of your wrath, there is no health in my body. There is no soundness in my bones because of my sin. This is not self-hatred. This is awareness. The psalmist is not pretending to be innocent, but he is also not pretending to be strong. Pain has reached his body. His bones feel weak. His strength feels drained. There are seasons when emotional pain settles into the body, when anxiety tightens the chest, when grief stiffens the muscles, when exhaustion lives in the bones. Psalm 38 does not separate the spiritual from the physical. It recognizes that when the soul suffers, the body listens. My guilt has overwhelmed me, like a burden too heavy to bear. This line is slow. Let it land. A burden too heavy to bear. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just too much. Many people live like this quietly. They carry responsibility. They carry regret. They carry unspoken pain. And no one sees how heavy it has become. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this, because this psalm gives words to what you've been holding inside. My wounds fester and are loathsome because of my sinful folly. Some wounds are not visible, but they still need healing. Ignoring them does not make them clean. Covering them does not make them disappear. The psalmist is honest. Unaddressed pain decays. I am bowed down and brought very low. All day long I go about mourning. This is not weakness. This is reality. There are days when the weight never lifts, when sadness follows you from morning to night, when joy feels distant and forced. Psalm 38 allows that truth to exist without shame. My back is filled with searing pain. There is no health in my body. Notice how the psalm repeats itself. Pain, no health, no strength. Repetition is not wasted here. It mirrors how suffering feels. The same thoughts returning, the same ache remaining. I am feeble and utterly crushed. I groan in anguish of heart. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is the sound of someone who has reached the edge of endurance. Groaning is what happens when words are no longer enough, when prayer becomes breath, when faith becomes survival. And still, the psalm continues. All my longings lie open before you, Lord. My sighing is not hidden from you. This is a turning point. Not relief, not healing yet, but visibility. Even when no one else knows, God knows. Even when you don't speak it, He hears it. Your sighs are prayers too. Your silence is not invisible. My heart pounds, my strength fails me. Even the light has gone from my eyes. There are moments when hope dims, when clarity fades, when the future feels blurred. Psalm 38 does not deny this. It places it in God's presence. And that matters, because pain acknowledged before God is pain that is no longer carried alone. Breathe again. Let these words sit with you. In the next block, the psalm moves deeper into isolation, misunderstanding, and quiet abandonment. Stay with this moment. Psalm 38 now moves into a place many people know well, but rarely talk about. Isolation. Not the kind where you are physically alone, but the kind where you feel unseen even when surrounded. My friends and companions avoid me because of my wounds. My neighbors stay far away. Pain changes how people relate to you. Not always because they don't care, but because suffering makes others uncomfortable. Some don't know what to say. Some don't know how to help. Some quietly step back. And suddenly, you realize something painful. You are carrying this alone. Psalm 38 does not romanticize this moment. It names it distance, avoidance, silence. There are seasons when pain isolates you, not because you push people away, but because pain itself creates space. Those who want to kill me set their traps. Those who would harm me talk of my ruin. All day long they scheme and lie. This is not only about enemies. It is about pressure, judgment, misunderstanding. People assuming things about your struggle. When you are already weak, external voices feel louder. Criticism cuts deeper. Suspicion feels heavier. I am like the deaf who cannot hear, like the mute who cannot speak. This is a powerful image, not silence by choice, but silence by exhaustion. There comes a point where explaining yourself feels impossible, where defending yourself feels pointless, where you no longer have the energy to respond. So you become quiet, not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much. I have become like one who does not hear, whose mouth can offer no reply. This is what internal pain often does. It takes your voice first. You rehearse conversations in your mind, but never speak them. You carry answers you never give, explanations you never share. Psalm 38 gives dignity to this silence. It does not shame it. Instead, it shifts direction. Lord, I wait for you. You will answer, Lord my God. Notice the change, not in circumstances, but in focus. The psalmist stops trying to be understood by people and turns toward God. Waiting here does not mean passivity. It means trust without control. For I said, do not let them gloat or exalt themselves over me. When my feet slip, there is vulnerability in admitting this. Fear of falling, fear of failing publicly, fear of being judged in weakness. Pain makes us cautious, careful, afraid of one more blow. For I am about to fall, and my pain is ever with me. This line is honest. Pain is not gone. Strength has not returned. And yet the psalm continues. I confess my iniquity. I am troubled by my sin. This is not condemnation. This is clarity, acknowledging what is broken without hiding, without pretending. Psalm 38 does not deny responsibility, but it also does not drown in shame. It places everything in God's presence. Many have become my enemies without cause. Those who hate me without reason are numerous. Pain often comes with unfairness. Not every struggle is deserved. Not every wound is explained. Psalm 38 allows space for injustice without bitterness. And then something subtle happens. The psalmist does not ask for explanations. He asks for presence. Lord, do not forsake me. Do not be far from me, my God. This is the heart of the psalm. Not fix everything. Not make it disappear. Just don't leave. When pain strips everything else away, what remains is this simple prayer. Stay. Come quickly to help me, my Lord and my Savior. This is quiet hope, not loud faith, not triumphant confidence, but a whispered trust. And that is enough. Let this settle. In the next block, we will move into application for modern life, how Psalm 38 speaks directly to anxiety, burnout, unspoken grief, and emotional exhaustion today. Now pause for a moment, because Psalm 38 is not ancient in feeling. It is painfully modern. This psalm describes something many people live with today, but rarely admit: silent pain. Not the kind that stops your life, but the kind that slowly drains it, the kind that exists behind productivity, behind responsibility, behind "I'm fine." In modern life, suffering often has no space. You are expected to function, to adapt, to keep going. And so you do. You wake up, you work, you respond, you smile, but inside, something aches. Psalm 38 understands that tension. It speaks to the person who is exhausted, not because they are weak, but because they have been strong for too long. Today, pain often shows up as anxiety, as constant tension in the body, as racing thoughts at night. It shows up as burnout, as emotional numbness, as quiet despair. And like the psalmist, many people carry it alone. They don't want to burden others. They don't know how to explain it. They fear being misunderstood, so they stay silent. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this, because Psalm 38 reminds us of something modern culture often forgets. Pain does not disappear when ignored. It settles. It finds a place in the body, in the breath, in the heart. The psalmist describes bones that feel weak, strength that fails, light that fades from the eyes. These are not metaphors anymore. They are symptoms many people recognize. Tight chests, chronic fatigue, restless sleep. Psalm 38 does not shame this. It does not say, try harder. It does not say, be more positive. Instead, it models something radical. Honest presence before God, not filtered prayers, not polished words, just truth. The psalmist brings everything: fear, guilt, confusion, exhaustion, into God's presence without hiding. And that is where healing begins, not when the pain ends, but when the silence breaks. Modern life teaches us to self-manage pain, to distract ourselves, to stay busy. Psalm 38 invites us to do the opposite, to pause, to feel, to speak, even if only to God. It reminds us that faith is not pretending everything is okay. Faith is choosing not to carry everything alone. The psalmist does not immediately feel better. His circumstances do not instantly change, but something shifts. Pain is no longer isolated, and that matters more than we realize, because pain shared with God does not have the same power as pain buried in silence. Psalm 38 also speaks to shame, the kind that whispers, "You should be stronger by now. You shouldn't still feel this way." But the psalm does not rush healing. It allows time. It allows process. It allows weakness. In a world that values speed and performance, Psalm 38 values honesty and endurance. It teaches us that God is not disappointed by our slow healing. He is present in it. And maybe that is what you need most right now. Not answers, not solutions, but presence. The psalmist's prayer is simple: do not be far from me. And that prayer still holds power today. If you are overwhelmed, if you feel misunderstood, if your pain has gone unnamed for too long, this psalm is for you. Take another slow breath. There is no need to move forward yet. Psalm 38 invites us to stay, to remain in this quiet space where pain is acknowledged, but not judged. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this again, because repetition is not weakness. It is how the soul processes weight. The psalmist repeats himself, because pain repeats itself. It comes back in the morning. It returns at night. It follows you quietly through the day. And so the words return too. My strength fails me. My pain is ever with me. Do not be far from me. These are not dramatic cries. They are steady truths. Sometimes healing does not arrive as a breakthrough. It arrives as endurance, as the ability to keep breathing, to keep praying, to stay present. Psalm 38 teaches us that it is okay to ask God the same thing more than once. Stay. Don't leave. Come close. This is not lack of faith. This is dependence. And dependence is holy. If your pain feels familiar, if you've prayed about it before, if nothing seems resolved yet, you are not failing. You are human. The psalmist does not hide his repetition. He lets it be part of the prayer. Pain that lasts needs prayer that lasts. And maybe that's why this psalm feels different. It does not rush toward peace. It walks slowly with pain. Over and over, the psalm returns to this truth. God sees. God hears. God stays. Even when the body feels weak. Even when the mind feels heavy. Even when hope feels thin. The silence you carry is not empty. It is filled with presence. Psalm 38 does not end pain in this moment, but it changes how pain is held. No longer alone. No longer unseen. If you are listening to this late at night, if your thoughts are loud but your room is quiet, if your heart feels heavy for reasons you can't explain, stay here. Let these words loop gently in your mind. Do not be far from me. Come quickly to help me. My sighing is not hidden from you. These are safe words. You don't have to fix anything right now. You don't have to understand everything. You only need to stay present. The psalmist stays. God stays. And that is enough for this moment. We will repeat this truth again, because calm comes through familiarity, because peace comes slowly, and because if you're carrying pain in silence, read this. You were never meant to carry it alone. Before we continue, stay with this feeling for a moment, not to analyze it, not to fix it, just to notice it. Psalm 38 does something rare. It gives you permission to exist exactly as you are right now. Tired, quiet, holding more than you show. If this psalm feels close to your heart, it's because it is speaking a language you know, the language of silent pain. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this and know you are not the only one. There are others listening right now who feel the same quiet weight, different stories, different lives, but the same heaviness. You don't have to explain your pain here. You don't have to justify it. But if you feel comfortable, you are invited to do something gentle. In the comments, you can write just one word. Here, tired, still holding on, praying, or simply a quiet amen. Not to expose yourself, not to be seen by everyone, but to remind yourself that silence does not mean isolation. Sometimes the bravest thing is allowing your pain to be witnessed, even in the smallest way. Psalm 38 reminds us that God hears sighs, and sometimes comments become sighs too, soft expressions of presence. If this psalm is helping you breathe a little easier, you are welcome to stay, to listen again, to let the words repeat. And if you know someone who carries pain without speaking about it, someone who is strong on the outside, but tired inside, you can share this with them quietly. No explanation needed, just presence. This space is not about answers. It's about companionship. You are allowed to rest here. You are allowed to return here. And in the next block, we will gently return once more to the heart of Psalm 38, reaffirming presence, endurance, and quiet hope. Stay here a little longer, not because everything is resolved, but because staying is sometimes a victory. Psalm 38 never pretends a pain is gone, and that honesty matters. There's a quiet kind of hope that doesn't shout, doesn't celebrate, doesn't rush ahead. It simply remains. The psalmist is still weak, still tired, still aware of his limits, and yet he stays in God's presence. This is important because many people believe hope means feeling better, but Psalm 38 teaches something different. Hope can exist even when pain remains. Hope can breathe. Inside exhaustion, hope can be quiet. If you are listening right now and thinking, I still feel heavy, that does not mean this psalm failed. It means you are human. Psalm 38 does not promise instant relief. It offers companionship. And sometimes that is what keeps us going. The psalmist says, my pain is ever with me. He does not deny it. He does not minimize it. He carries it, but not alone. That is the shift. Pain shared with God does not vanish, but it no longer defines everything. It no longer isolates. It becomes part of a larger story, a story where endurance counts, where honesty matters, where silence is allowed. If you've been praying the same prayer for a long time, if you've asked God the same thing again and again, if nothing seems to change yet, you are not doing it wrong. Repetition is not doubt. It is faith that refuses to disappear. Psalm 38 repeats because the psalmist is still there, still breathing, still praying, still hoping quietly. And that quiet hope is strong. It does not depend on mood. It does not depend on energy. It survives fatigue. This psalm also reminds us that God does not measure faith by volume. A whisper is enough. A sigh is enough. Silence offered honestly is enough. If your prayers have become shorter, if words feel heavy, if all you can offer is presence, that presence is prayer. Psalm 38 honors that. And so do you, right now. You don't need to solve your pain. You don't need to label it. You don't need to explain it. You only need to remain. Remain breathing. Remain listening. Remain open. God is not far from you in this moment, even if you don't feel it yet. Even if hope feels thin. Now let your breath slow. There is nothing more you need to do in this moment. Psalm 38 does not end with noise. It ends with trust, not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that says, I am still here. After all the honesty, after the pain, after the silence, the psalmist does not collapse. He remains, and that is powerful, because endurance is not dramatic. It is gentle. It is steady. It looks like continuing to breathe, even when the chest feels heavy. It looks like continuing to pray, even when words are few. Psalm 38 teaches us that rest does not always mean relief. Sometimes rest means placing the weight down, even if it's only for a moment. You don't have to carry everything tonight. You don't have to solve what hurts. You can let the pain sit in God's presence, not because it is finished, but because you are not alone with it. If you are listening to this before sleep, let your body soften. If you are listening during the day, let your shoulders drop. This psalm gives permission to stop holding yourself so tightly. God is not asking you to explain your pain. He is not asking you to defend yourself. He is simply near. And nearness changes things slowly. You may not feel peace all at once, but you may feel less alone. And that is where healing begins. If your mind starts to wander back to worry, return gently to one sentence. Do not be far from me. Let it repeat in your thoughts, like a quiet anchor. This psalm has done what it needed to do. It has spoken. It has listened. It has stayed. And so can you. Stay just a little longer. There is no need to rush back into noise. Psalm 38 was never meant to be consumed quickly. It was meant to be sat with. If this psalm feels close to your heart, it is because it understands something very human. Pain does not need an audience. To be real, if you're carrying pain in silence, read this and remember, silence does not mean abandonment. The psalmist felt isolated, misunderstood, weak, and still God remained near. Not because the psalmist was strong, but because God is faithful. You don't have to earn God's presence. You don't have to prove anything. You are allowed to come tired. You are allowed to come empty. Psalm 38 shows us that honesty is enough. Right now, whatever you are feeling, it is not too much for God. Your heaviness does not scare him. Your questions do not offend him. Even your silence is understood. If your pain has gone unnoticed by others, it has not gone unnoticed here. There is comfort in knowing that your struggle has language, that centuries ago, someone felt something so similar. They wrote it down, and now those words reach you. This is not coincidence. This is connection. Let that thought settle. You are part of a long human story of endurance, prayer, and quiet faith. And that means something. As this psalm rests in you, allow yourself to rest too. You don't have to be okay yet. You don't have to be healed yet. You only have to stay. And staying is enough. Now, gently, we begin to close this moment, not with an ending, but with rest. Psalm 38 does not resolve everything, and that is intentional, because some pains do not end in a single prayer. Some heal slowly, quietly, over time, and God is patient with that process. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this and know that you are allowed to take healing one breath at a time. There is no deadline on your recovery, no pressure to feel better quickly. God is not waiting for you to be strong again. He is with you now, as you are. Let this be the last thought you hold. You are seen. You are heard. You are not alone. Even if your pain continues tomorrow, even if answers don't come yet, presence remains. That is the promise Psalm 38 leaves with us. Not certainty, not explanation, but companionship. As you return to your day, or as you drift into rest, carry this gently. You do not have to explain your pain to deserve care. You do not have to speak loudly to be heard. Your sighs matter. Your silence matters. And tonight, that is enough. If you wish, you can return to this psalm again. Let it meet you wherever you are, because Psalm 38 will still be here. And so will God. Before you go, pause one last time. Not to think, not to analyze, just to feel the stillness. Psalm 38 does not push you forward. It does not demand change. It simply stays with you. And that is how this moment ends, by remaining open. If you're carrying pain in silence, read this whenever you need, not only today, not only once. Return when the weight feels familiar. Return when the night feels long. Return when words are hard to find. This Saul will not rush you. It will meet you exactly where you are. There will be days when the pain feels lighter, and days when it feels heavy again. Both belong to the journey. Psalm 38 makes space for that rhythm. It teaches us that faith is not linear. Healing is not predictable. Strength is not constant. And God does not require it to be. If all you can offer tomorrow is another quiet breath, that breath is prayer. If all you can manage is simply staying present, that presence is enough. This psalm has walked with suffering. It has named it. It has carried it gently. And now it leaves you, not with answers, but with companionship. As you move forward or as you rest, remember this. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to be honest. You are allowed to heal slowly. Nothing about your pain disqualifies you from God's presence. Nothing about your silence makes you invisible. Psalm 38 stands as proof of that. So let the final sound be quiet. Let the final feeling be safety. And let this truth remain with you. You are not alone in this. Not now. Not later. Not ever. Stay in peace. And return whenever you need.